Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. FPL Consult here. Welcome to the Game Week 3 deadline stream. So lots of things to talk about. The transfer deadline has just closed yesterday. Couple of I don't know whether you would call shock signings. But yeah, players like Raheem Sterling going to Arsenal. There's lots of things to talk about, right? So we'll quickly go through all of them, and we'll wait for more people to stream in as well. There's already 16 of you guys watching. If you could do drop a like on the stream, and also drop a comment in the chat. Nice to see some of you guys early. Musa and also Satyaki, love your content and subscriber interaction. Thank you very much. Okay, maybe I'll start with my team. Pretty much the same as the team selection video if you guys caught that one. Let me just make sure the settings for the stream are alright. Okay, if you guys can hear me clearly as well, please do let me know. Alright. Yep, let's go. Alright, so my team this week, Henderson in goal, not ideal, but I think the good thing is that they have signed a couple of centre backs, so I do like the look of Crystal Palace defence, and in fact, Trevor Chalobah and also Mark Gahey as a centre back pairing. That makes me have a little bit more confidence in the Crystal Palace defence. At first, we thought that Joachim Anderson and Mark Gahey were both going to leave, in which case I think the clean sheets for Crystal Palace would not come. But the good thing is Mark Gahey stayed. And funnily enough, Glasner came out to say that Mark Gahey didn't really push to leave Crystal Palace, so it's a good thing. Hoping that Crystal Palace defense would continue to hold up. Defense, I have Porro, Trent, and Robinson. It's pretty much I'm starting the best of my defenders because I don't want to start the Ipswich defender in Johnson, and neither do I want to start Dunk as well. Dunk is last on the bench even. So I'm hoping that Porro can get something, even though I think the clean sheet odds for Spurs are actually one of the lowest this week. So not expecting a clean sheet, but hopefully an attacking return. And then in defense, in midfield, I have Rodgers, Jota, Gordon, Smith Rowe, and Saka. All of them, to be honest, I'm pretty happy with. Only Gordon is the one that I think could be a bit of a concern because the form that he's been showing is not super convincing. So I'm hoping that at St. James's Park, Newcastle show a bit of the form that they did last season, because we know that they are good players. It's just, I feel like they look a bit rusty, to be honest, like the Newcastle attack. And for Gordon as well, I'm hoping that because his home form is better, that he will get something. If, for example, he blanks in game week 3, I think he could be on the way out. Same for Isak as well. Being doubled up in the Newcastle attack this week is something that is not ideal. If I had a choice, I actually wanted Gordon to move to Liverpool instead of Chiesa, so that would force me to do Gordon to Mbeumo, who would rotate very well with João Pedro on my bench. But obviously, Chiesa went to Liverpool. We'll speak about Chiesa in a bit. But thereafter, Gordon stays at Newcastle, and I guess I'll have to start him. He could be a big differential. I need the Newcastle players to pop off. For the other players, Jota and Saka, happy to have them. Rodgers and Smith Rowe as well. I think the big question this week for a lot of people, that a couple of comments that I received as well. Do you start... bench one. I rephrase the question. Bench one of Smith Rowe, Rodgers, Eze, and Chris Wood. I feel like I should put this in the poll because I received so many questions on this. I want to know what you guys would do. I don't think I would bench Chris Wood like many people are doing, because Chris Wood has the home fixture. I would be tempted to start Chris Wood, but then, the question is, who would you bench out of Eze, Rodgers, and Smith Rowe? For me, Eze has to start. He's on penalties and all that stuff. So I think it comes down to benching one of Rodgers or Smith Rowe for those of you guys. But okay, we'll cross that bridge when we get there, when you guys ask those questions. Up front, it's Isak and Haaland. Haaland's the captaincy armband for me. Vice captain is Saka. That's pretty much it. João Pedro on the bench against Arsenal, not ideal, so benching him for now. I don't think I'll need him to come in. Don't foresee any kind of Nkunku situations like last week where he was benched and then comes on for the last, 10 minutes or so. All right, let's say hi to some of you guys in the chat. Thank you for dropping all your questions already. Buzzer Beta says, greetings from Greece. Nice to see you. I'm always very interested to know where the viewers are watching from. So if you are watching the stream now and you're able to comment as well, just drop it in the chat where you guys are watching from. I always am keen to know. Jay Medina says, let's go. Is Sterling affecting Saka's game minutes? Honestly, I don't think so. He could be used as a backup, but I don't think it would be to the point where he takes minutes off Saka. I mean, maybe when Champions League comes around, Saka gets about, 85 minutes. They could rest him a little bit. But honestly, I feel like it's the left flank. Like, we could see variations of this. Sterling could play on the left and kind of cover for Martinelli being there. So maybe at some point in the season we see Sterling, Havertz and Saka. Like, I'm not going to rule that out as well. We need to see how Arteta kind of experiments with Sterling. But we'll see what happens. Cosmos Runner says, morning, main man, not tempted to bring in Palmer or Salah. To be honest, I am. Like, to be honest, I really am. I did consider as well Saka to Palmer, but this week just did not feel like the week. And I have one free transfer now remaining because I've done Nkunku to Rodgers. I have one free transfer remaining. There will be an international break that is right after the Game Week 3 deadline. So next week there is no Premier League football. The week after we will have the Game Week 4 deadline. So a lot of time in between. And international breaks kind of usually mean that there could be injuries we need to deal with. So I value having an extra transfer in Game Week 4. I would have 2 by then. I value having 2 free transfers in Game Week 4 over going for Palmer instead of Saka, for example. Like, I'm perfectly fine to keep Saka for Brighton at home, and I don't think I can reach Saka. I don't think I can reach Salah. Right, Salah is 12.5. I only have 1.5 in the bank, so I can't reach Salah by selling Saka. So Salah's out the question for me. It was only Cole Palmer. I did for a while contemplate whether I wanted Cole Palmer. In fact, I think he will do well. If I had him and if I had Haaland as well, it would be more of a kind of a captaincy debate. For those of you with, Cole Palmer and Haaland, let me know who you guys are captaining. All right, I do want to put a poll in the chat first before we get to the questions, which is the comment or the question that I was getting the most. Bench one out of these 4 players. So we'll go with Eze, Smith Rowe, and the last one would be Rodgers. Like, there are a couple of people in this position. I want to know what you guys think. I don't think I'd bench Eze nor Wood, so it comes down to Smith Rowe and Rodgers for me, but I'm keen to see what you guys think. All right, let me get through all of your questions. Lionel, nice to see you in the chat. They doubt us, it's too early. Fellow triple captainers. Yes, triple captain worked out really well. For those of you guys who are new to the streams, last week what we did was kind of the pros and cons, and at the end of the day I still ended up using the triple captain. Happy I did it, but granted there were pros and cons to it, and the way that it turned out, it turned out well, but there could also be a scenario last week where we would have potentially wasted the chip if Haaland didn't do as well, right? So it's these kind of little swings, but I do think like later on down the line there will be many more opportunities for those of you still with the triple captainship to use it. So there's no real kind of hurry there. When's your plan to wildcard? I have no idea. Are you more to fixture swings wildcard, or when you look at your team and it's looking dead, etc.? I tend to have a rough plan on when I want to wildcard. So tentatively, I'm looking at game week 6. I am also keeping it flexible because with 2 free transfers in game week 4, if I shape my team such that it looks similar to what a game week 6 wildcard would look like, and I also do advise this for those of you guys planning transfers from game week 4 onwards, take a look at a game week 6 wildcard. Like that would be very crucial and would also decide whether you can save the wildcard or not. If you have taken a look at the game week 6 wildcard and you're able to make transfers in game week 4 next week to lead your team to something that looks like a game week 6 wildcard, I think you would be in a position to save it, which could be quite valuable because this season, I imagine a lot of people would be wildcarding in game week 6. So if you leave it for, let's say, later down the line, closer to the midway point of the season, you could be getting some gains there. But I think it really depends. It's team dependent for wildcards. So kind of keep it flexible is what I would say. VJ, nice to see you. Always here. Hi from York, UK. You seem like a Singaporean Malaysian here. Yes, I am a Singaporean. What do you think about playing Aina over Pedro Porro? Yes, I would. But the thing about Aina is, at least for this week, I don't think Moreno is going to displace him. But the fact that Moreno is already in the squad, or at least in the long term, is something we need to think about. I don't think Aina is someone I look to bring in, moving forward. But if you have him this game week, I don't mind starting him ahead of Pedro Porro. In fact, I think I would. I think I would start him ahead of Porro. Melissa says Scotland, UK. Very, very nice. India for Satyaki as well. Nice to see you. Lionel watching from Singapore. SB says, would you captain Salah over Haaland today if you had him? No. If it was between Salah and Haaland, for me it's Haaland. If it's between Saka and Haaland, it's still Haaland. It's only if it's Cole Palmer, then I would think a little bit more. Like the Crystal Palace fixture there feels good for Cole Palmer. So that's the one where I would think a little bit. It is close. Like Haaland will still be the most captain, but I do think like there will be a bunch of people going for Cole Palmer. Playing the wild card this week, not sure between Trent and Robertson. Honestly, there's not much between them. If saving the 1 million and going for Robertson would allow you to get to all the different players that you want in your team, which I'm expecting are pretty expensive. Like if I was on a wild card this week, I'd probably have Salah, Palmer, and Saka. So then if you need to drop Trent down to Robertson, I don't mind that at all. Like he was quite attacking. You have Dunk and João Pedro for next game week already. Hoping to see Kadioglu today. Yes. I hope to see him soon as well. And where he plays, like he could play. He is known to be a very versatile player. He could play on the right, play on the left. We'll see what happens, and also affects minutes for maybe Estupiñán moving forward. Estupiñán is back though, and we'll see whether he gets some minutes today. Mikalenko or Alex Moreno bench on a wild card? On a wild card, I would have neither. I don't like the Everton defense. I also don't like Alex Moreno because Aina exists. It's weird rolling for 3 weeks. So eager to make a transfer. To be honest, if I was in a position where I could roll my transfer and I didn't have Nkunku, I would be more than happy to do that. Because game week 4 would be a mini fixture swing. People will start to move, I'm sure, in game week 4. So transfers then, or free transfers then, would be very useful. Would you do a review on your wildcard draft? Possibly. I can do that. In a bit. We could do that in a bit. What are your thoughts on Isak to Watkins and captain him instead of Haaland? I wouldn't captain Watkins ahead of Haaland because I'm not so sure that Watkins has penalties, and also the minutes for Watkins is not at 90 minutes currently. Sounds crazy, but if it works, green arrow would be big. But that's the same for every other captain that you're going for if it's not Haaland. Jake says, morning, I have Haaland, Palmer, Salah, Saka, Ryan, my team. Do I need to make any changes at all? I probably need to see the rest of your team. Who would you remove Isak for? Ollie Watkins, probably the only one that I'll remove Isak for this week, but not for a hit though. FPL Football Herd says, great team. It's just that I won't double up on Newcastle. I know. I know. But by the same token, like if they do kind of pop off, then we're in business, right? Then we're in business. I don't think a lot of people would be going for Newcastle assets, or at least I don't have the transfers to deal with them now because I want 2 free transfers in game week 4. Say for example, I didn't have to make the Nkunku move. Like if I started with Rodgers straight up, I think I would be tempted to actually do like Isak to Watkins and then still have 2 transfers to roll to game week 4. It would be different. It would be different. Like if I didn't have to do the Nkunku move, I potentially would have taken out Newcastle assets. Would Eze out for Mbeumo be good? Eze, I would want to keep Eze this week, but I get the appeal of Mbeumo. The only thing with Mbeumo I would say is the game week 4 and game week 5 fixtures are not good for him. So if it's over these 3 game weeks and you need to start this particular player, I would still prefer Eze. Like I would keep him. Missed a couple of questions. I apologize. Will you do Henderson to Raya? I don't feel like that's necessary. And Raya's fixtures in 4 and 5 are not particularly good. Should I roll the transfer and play Murphy or sell Solanke to Watkins wildcard next week? If you're wildcarding next week, I would just take the chance to do Solanke to Watkins. Would you sell Aina this week or bench him and wait for more info about his role with Moreno in the team? I think Aina still starts this week. It's I guess a calculated gamble, but I think Aina starts. And if that's the case, then I back the Nottingham Forest defense. So I would take the chance. I wouldn't sell him this week. I would think that the transfer saves are more important for game week 4. Like for any other transfer kind of questions that we're talking about today, if you are able to save the transfer for game week 4 and you're not really significantly changing your squad for game week 3, I think that is more valuable. Wood to Watkins for a -4 hit? No, I wouldn't do that. Are you going to stick with double Newcastle for the next 4 to 5 game weeks? Also, who would you consider as a top replacement for both? The honest answer is it really depends on how they do against Tottenham. Wait, give me a moment. Okay. Are you going to stick with double Newcastle for the next 4 to 5 game weeks? Sorry, yes. Top replacements for both. I would say, like, okay, personally for my own transfer plans, I'm lining up Isak to Watkins in game week 4. And if I want Salah, then I don't think I can replace Gordon. I may have to do Saka to Salah, for example, in another combination move. But if I'm to replace them in game week 4, I'll be tempted to downgrade Gordon to Eze. It feels a bit like an upgrade to me, if I'm honest. So Gordon to Eze is what I would prefer in game week 4. If I was selling Gordon now in game week 3 though, it would probably be for Mbeumo because I have João Pedro and João Pedro rotates well with Mbeumo, right? So I guess it really depends when you're transferring the player out. But yeah, Isak for Watkins, probably. Bench 1 of Jota, Rodgers, or Muniz. Jota, definitely not benching him. Rodgers or Muniz? Tricky. Maybe Very, very tricky. Either one of Rogers or Muniz. I think probably lean towards Rogers at the moment. Like, because Muniz, data-wise, he is taking a good number of shots. So, Collins, Ayer, or Pinnock? I would go for Pinnock. If not having Haaland and Palmer, then who would you captain? Saka would be the next one. Or else Salah. Like, it'd probably be in that order. Like, Haaland, Palmer, Saka, and then Salah. That would be my captaincy ranking for this week. Best captain for me, I want to know your thoughts. Haaland or Palmer? Going for a midfielder with the armband sounds tempting, yeah. An extra point for a goal. Extra point for clean sheet as well. It is close. It is close. For those of you who have seen the captaincy algorithm, let me pull it up. I do this on Instagram, and I also put it on the stats breakdown video. It is basically, let me just switch over. It is basically a weighted average value of predicted points from different sources. So I do this every week. So far, it has been successful in getting 2 out of 2 game weeks, but that was pretty straightforward because game week 1 it was Salah against Ipswich, and game week 2 it was Haaland against Ipswich. So this week I guess it's slightly more less spread out. It's closer, and Haaland is the one here with the first spot, slightly edging it. 7 algorithm points, 6.83 for Palmer, and 6.68 for Saka. So it's very, very close. I would say that the thing about Palmer is that he has different routes to points as compared to Haaland. Like, he, firstly, aside from being classed as a midfielder, I think the assist threat for Palmer is better than Haaland. So that's why I think there is a bit of a debate here. Haaland primarily would be getting goals. Palmer just has both in his locker. So it's very, very, very close. If I had Palmer, would I captain Palmer? I think I would, If I had Palmer, I think I captain Palmer. I don't want to sit on the fence here, so I'm going to say that if I had Cole Palmer, I would captain him. Eze plus Solanke or Minte plus Watkins for Gordon and Muniz. Minte plus Watkins. I actually prefer the Minte plus Watkins one. How many points are you on? Great question. I am on 174 points. 174 points. Maybe I should put it up somewhere. Alright, put it at the top left for next week. But I'm on 174 points overall. Yeah, rank is 45k. Hopefully able to maintain for this week. With double Newcastle, not ideal. We'll see how it goes. Drop a wildcard draft. Okay, let's build a wildcard draft. I've seen a couple of comments on this already, so let's build a wildcard draft. Just give me a moment. FPL.team. Let's head over to FPL.team. Okay, so wildcard drafting time. Who would you guys have on your wildcard? Drop it in the comments. Or at least players that you're thinking about whether you want to have in the wildcard or not. Let me just remove all the players. Okay. I don't think we can do it on... Let me use a different platform. Let me use Plan FPL. Okay, just a moment. All right. So we're on Plan FPL now. Okay, make it bigger. Okay, this looks good. Okay, let me remove all the players. So game week 3, clear squad. All right, so this is a blank canvas here for game week 3. Let's build a wildcard team. So I'm gonna drop in players that I think are essential on a wildcard. I mean, okay, I don't want to go so far as to say essential, but players I would have on a wildcard. Right, so let me just. Okay, so firstly, what I would go for is a Haaland-less draft. Like, I know in the wildcard video, I said that I would have a Haaland-only draft because of captaincy, but I've come around to the idea that Salah is a perfectly fine option for captaincy for the first 3, and I think with the money spread around, I'm better able to prepare this team for the next few game weeks as well. So I think a couple of players that I would have. Firstly, it's Salah. He is pretty much going to be locked if I was wildcarding. Next up would be Palmer. Okay, because Palmer has a great run of fixtures, the most secured kind of Chelsea player, I would say. So I'd go with Salah and Palmer here. Up front, I would want to have João Pedro, not just because he doesn't have a good fixture now, but he is someone that I want to rotate in for game week 4 and 5, because trust me, come game week 4, people are going to go for Brighton assets. So you hop on early here with João Pedro. So keepers wise, and I think now that the 4.5 keepers, especially like Ramsdale, I received a couple of questions on whether Ramsdale should be in here. I would say you could consider him. He's probably going to rack up a lot of save points. But the keeper I would actually go for is Emi Martinez. Right, because he just covers the Aston Villa defense for me, and I don't need to worry about, let's say, going for Nedeljkovic. Nedeljkovic at 4 million, to be honest, I feel could be a bit of a trap because a couple of reasons. The first thing is, yes, he is likely going to start ahead of Matty Cash, but Matty Cash is not out for super long. There's an international break. Maximum, I think, he misses 2 to 3 games. And then after that, Matty Cash comes back. What happens to Nedeljkovic? And you still want the Aston Villa fixtures because long term it's good. And then aside from that, even if Cash doesn't come back, Diego Carlos is now nursing a bit of an injury, but it's a small one. So he could come back soon as well. And then if he's back, Concert could go to the right, and then Diego Carlos could come through the middle. So I wouldn't say that he's like 100% nailed, and I don't think I will be going for Nedeljkovic. Right, let me put in a couple of other players that I think I would definitely have. So Rodgers is one as well, to enable your team to have greater balance and rotation overall. And the next one is Mbeumo, because Mbeumo rotates really well with João Pedro. You look at Mbeumo's fixtures. Like, I just want to call this one out, where game week 4 and game week 5 is probably the only tough run for Mbeumo. Before that is Southampton in game week 3. After that is like an incredible run for such a long period of time. So Mbeumo, definitely I would want him. And just nice in game week 4 and 5, you see that João Pedro here has Ipswich and Nottingham Forest. The rotation just works so well. And João Pedro is cheap. He's only at 5.5. So I would have him. And that's really the reason why I'm choosing him ahead of, say, someone like Minte, for example, or Mitoma. Right, João Pedro's 5.5, and he's on penalties as well. Like, why not go for that kind of better minutes and greater routes to points? So these are pretty much the kind of players I would go for, and then I want to add Watkins in here, because I would think that if you are on a game week 3 wildcard, I think like Watkins is a player. I wouldn't captain him. I won't go so far as to captain him. Probably captain Cole Palmer. But the value is really in hopping on these Aston Villa assets for game week 3, because they have Leicester away here. This is a fixture I think they could do well in. So I'm probably going to take the chance, and even if he does not get, say, 70, 80 minutes, if he continues to be subbed off at the 60th minute, I take the chances against Leicester. And the foreseeable future as well, I think he continues to start. So there's no harm in going early here. Okay, so that's pretty much the structure. Let's just throw in a 4.0 million keeper. The one that I would go for, probably Valdemarson. I did want to put Matthews in there, but the thing with Matthews is that Crystal Palace have signed Matt Turner from Nottingham Forest. So basically, he is there to replace Sam Johnston, who has just left. Lots of transfers going on, so I'm trying to remember all of them. But yeah, so basically Matthews is no longer, I guess, the next best option after Henderson. There's going to be Turner as well. So in that case, I'm going for Valdemarson here. Right, so the rest of the positions pretty much up for grabs. Let me know if I'm missing any players. Let me know who else you want to include in this team. There's a couple of maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 slots. We haven't slotted in any defenders as well. So let's take a look at the chat. Let me have a look. Drop in the chat who you guys would want to have in the wildcard team. By the way, there's 183 of you guys watching, so thank you very much. If you haven't already, please do drop a like on the stream, and we are very, very close to 8,300 subscribers as well. So if you could just help me out, just a couple of seconds to subscribe, that would be incredible. All right. Poro. Right, so lots of you have other different questions. Wait, Robertson at 6 million is a good pick. Poro, Robinson, Valtface, Evan Nielsen. So the thing with Evan Nielsen is I think he's all right. His numbers are pretty good. The only thing is Bournemouth's fixtures are not super good. And if I can save the extra 0.5 to go for someone like João Pedro, I think that is better use of my money. Right, so I'm going to have a Liverpool defender for sure. It's just that game week 3 they have Manchester United, but I would still have the Liverpool defender because the fixtures are very good. They are still there for them, especially the 2 home fixtures in game week 4. So let's say we put Trent in, because he is the one I would still prefer if you have enough money. So we'll put Trent in here, like some of you guys are suggesting. What is the question? Erwin, the question is, who else will you include to fill in the squad for this wildcard draft? What about Nedeljkovic? I'm already tripled up on Aston Villa, so I wouldn't be able to fit Nedeljkovic in. Rico Lewis, probably not. Semenyo is an interesting one. Right, I'll go out on a limb here, and I'm gonna say who I would put here in this spot. It is for me still Saka. Don't know what you guys would think about it, but for me it's still Saka because you would want to be tripled up on Arsenal by the time game week 6 comes around. So I think to help this team get closer to that, and as well as having a good fixture here in game week 3, I would think I'd start with Saka as well. Right, so I would probably have a team like this, and to be honest, I think a game week 4 wildcard would have a very similar midfield. The only difference on a game week 4 wildcard potentially for the midfield would be Mbeumo out for Eze. I think that would be the main difference for a game week 4 wildcard. But now that we're doing in game week 3, we can have Mbeumo and have a bit of rotations here. Smith Rowe, fair enough. But that's why I have Muniz, right? So my slot here up front is going to be Muniz. Right, so I've seen a couple of you guys also in the chat speak about Muniz, this is where I think, agree with you, Erwin, as well. Saka has to be there. Yep. So Muniz is here to cover the Fulham fixtures. If I don't have Smith Rowe, but yet the fixtures are still good for Fulham, then I want Muniz as a bit of coverage. So that pretty much leaves 17.9 in the bank. Let's drop in a 4.0 million defender, probably Greaves. I've seen a couple of you guys recommend it. I think the thing with Greaves is, I look at the fixtures, they are there for Ipswich. In fact, it's like pretty green overall. But then when you really come and identify the kind of fixtures, like Brighton away is never a green fixture, to be honest. Like Aston Villa at home is not easy by any means. So I wouldn't be swayed by the fixture ticker. I would just think that, he's a decent 4.0 million option, but the fixtures are not as good as it seems. I just have him on the bench here. Harald Bellis is perfectly fine as well. Right, so we have 13.9 for the rest of the players. So we need a couple of 4.5s. So who would you guys have? So I'm going to put the option that I would go for at 4.5 million for a defender. Mine is Levi Colwill. What do you guys think? For this one, the fixtures are there for Chelsea. Like, it is good. It is good. It's just, is Colwill going to play every game week? My kind of bet on the game week 3 wildcard would be that he will be starting the next few games, because I look at game week 1 and game week 2, he was kind of the first choice. I wouldn't go so far as to say nailed, because the number of defenders that Chelsea have is just incredible. So I would go for Colwill there. Right, so it's 9.4 for the other slots. Who would you guys go for? We can afford a 4.5. Right, so this team value is not really accurate, to be honest, because Nkunku has dropped in price twice, and then Rogers as well has risen in price. So I technically have an extra 0.3 that Plan FPL is not taking into account. So if I add it back, we actually have 9.7. So ignore the bank value there. Who else would you go for in this position? Erwin says, not sure about Mbeumo. It definitely has Jota. But Mbeumo is just so good for what he offers at 7 million. And I foresee people wanting him come game week 6. Mbeumo or Madueke on a wild card. I would have Palmer, and then I would have Palmer basically. So I would have Mbeumo, and then I have Palmer instead of Madueke. Definitely have an Arsenal defender. Fair enough. So I think one of the alternatives that I was thinking about for this draft is taking Martinez out, going for someone like Raya in goal, and then in defense you go for Konza. So it's cheaper like that. Right, and then you have, as I said, right, in the bank I have an extra 0.3 that Plan FPL is not taking into account. So I can afford a 4.5. So really, it just leaves me a 4.5 slot here in this Johnson spot. Like, who would we want to have? When I think about the rotations, I actually quite like having Dunk there. So, I mean, I will want to put Dunk, but also Colwill and Konza's fixtures are decent to carry through for the next few as well. So I would put Dunk there, but let me know who you guys would put for the last slot. I would have Dunk on the bench, and I wouldn't start him ahead of... Yeah, I'd likely line up with something like this. So let me know what you guys think. Game week 3 wildcard draft updated. Hopefully it's big enough. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. Wildcard draft. Vice captain, probably Saka. What do you guys think? A draft with no Man City? Yeah, a draft with no Man City. No Gvardiol. I'm banking on the fact that the game week 5 and 6 fixtures are tougher for them. And to be honest, I still think Rico Lewis would start at right back, which basically means that the appeal of Gvardiol goes down quite a bit. Nedeljkovic, I wouldn't want to take the risk with him. You could if you want to. I wouldn't put you off him, but I think why not just go for Konza at 4.5. Mikalenko, I wouldn't go there. I get a Forrest for 4.5, really good defense, and James Ward-Prowse on set pieces. Fair enough. If you wanted to go for a 4.5 here, you could always have Murillo. He is the one that I would go for instead of Dunk. Why not? Fixtures are there as well. It's decent fixture, so I don't mind it. You could go for Murillo there. If you really want to have a bit more, depends on your risk appetite, but you could do Raya to Sells, and then you could go for a more expensive defender. Also something you can consider. Sorry, hit the mic. Madueke is a risk. Yep, he is a risk for sure. No Haaland is so risky. Last game week was a good example. Yeah, but the thing is, if you're on a wild card, like we look ahead, we look at what's, Haaland will still score points. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, he is my captain this week. I am banking on the fact that he is going to score points. But the thing is, are the players that you have on your wild card in game week 3 able to match it as well? Like, in fact, in game week 2, I've seen teams without Haaland, teams with Son and teams with Palmer, and I think they captain Son as well. I look at those teams, they're matching the Haaland teams. And in fact, those teams, I feel, are better positioned for the next few game weeks. So it's not kind of a thinking where Haaland isn't going to score. He is going to score. But if you go without Haaland, your plan is that the players that you have, aside from him, are able to cover the points he's going to score. And I think I look at the players in this squad. There are points to be had here, like Salah, Palmer, Saka, Mbeumo against Southampton. And then you have Rodgers and Watkins against Leicester. Like, there's definitely going to be points here. Kilburn isn't bad at 4.5. West Ham defense looks promising. The thing with West Ham is I feel the fixtures are not really there. No Haaland kind of makes me insecure. So if you guys would want to have Haaland, what would you do to this draft? Aina's 4.4 from Forest. I wouldn't go for Aina. Miguel might start over Sells after his cup performance. Fair enough. Hence why I wouldn't go for Sells. I still stick with this Raya and Murillo kind of pairing. But I think for those who cannot afford, like, maybe you could take the chance. Felix will play every game. Chelsea manager loves him. Yeah, but it wouldn't affect Palmer too much, I think. Can we see the actual team? Right, let me move over to... Okay, so wildcard-wise, this is it. I'm going to leave it here. For those of you who are joining the stream late or you just joined but you want to analyze the wildcard a little bit more, you can scroll back. But I'm going to shift over to my team. So this is my team currently. For the benefit of those who just joined, good morning. And this is what we have. Basically, double Newcastle is not great. I've been saying this for a while already. But if they are able to do well against Spurs, they will be a huge differential for me. So we'll see what they can do at home, backing them a little bit. In defense, Porro, not ideal. But playing Newcastle, I do foresee goals. I don't foresee Porro keeping a clean sheet. And with how advanced he is, I'm hoping he does well. Up front, it's Haaland captain, Saka vice captain. So it's pretty much very, very similar to my lineup last week. The only real difference is Rodgers in for Nkunku. That is the only real difference. By the way, there's lots of you guys in the chat today. Thank you for coming down. 229 of you guys. Please do drop a like on the stream if you haven't already. We are at 45 likes. There's 200 over of you guys. So if you haven't liked the stream, please do help me out and drop a like. Captain Palmer or Salah? I would captain Palmer ahead of Salah. Keep or sell Foden? I think you sell because he is still likely not going to play in game week 3 because Pep has come out to say that he is not feeling well still from the illness that kept him out in game week 2. Thank you very much for the donation, VJ. So 45% of you guys are benching Wood. Like I look at the poll, you would be benching Wood. That is interesting. Hillbilly says, use two free transfers to put out fires, but I'm still forced to play Hall/Kwanzaa as the third defender. Playing the wildcard would get me back those free transfers and let me jump early on the likes of Palmer and Buemo. Is it worth it? I think the question I would ask myself is that one spot the only position? Is that one spot the only kind of negative position? If it is, then I think you just bite the bullet. I think you bite the bullet for that one. Because many people will be in positions where they want to use it in game week 6. Like, trust me, the swings in game week 6 would be harder to plan for, especially for those on a wildcard now. Like, I look at the wildcard draft that I just made for you guys. Let me just move over. So I look at this draft. You want to be able to be tripled up on Arsenal. So that's why I have Raya and Saka here. But the thing is, come game week 7, you will need Haaland. Like, come game week 7, not really need. You can go without him still. But I think when the swings come for game week 7 for Man City, that's when people want to jump there as well. So this draft really is lacking those Man City assets. But that's the nature of the game week 3 wildcard, where you need to prioritize these kind of earlier fixtures, and then after that jump on the City assets from game week 7 onwards. I really don't think I would have Haaland, like, despite what some of you guys are saying in the chat. Do I start Eze or Smith Rowe this week? I would still start Eze, and I also want to start Smith Rowe. Like, who else do you have that you can bench? Best 6.5 midfielder for this week. Like, honestly, if I can delay the transfer, like, for all the transfers that you guys are asking as well, if you're able to delay the transfer one more week, all your options open up next week as well. There's the Brighton assets that you can go for. So, if possible, as well as having 2 transfers to potentially bring Salah in if you want to, for those who don't have Salah. 2 free transfers in game week 4 is going to be very big. So 6.5, like, back to the question. Honestly, Savinho, will you guys go there? 6.5. I mean, Mitoma is there as well, but he has Arsenal this week, so that's why I would want to only get him if I do in game week 4. And other 6.5s, none really speak out to me. The ones that actually do are much cheaper. Maybe Morgan Gibbs-White is the only other one at 6.5, but he has Wolves now in game week 3. After that, it gets tougher, so also a very kind of short-term move if you go for Gibbs-White. But yeah, if not, you go for the 5.5s. You go for Smith Rowe, you go for Rodgers, perfectly fine as well. Bench Eze or Rodgers this week. I wouldn't bench Eze this week, so I would bench Rodgers instead of Eze. Start João Pedro or Winks? João Pedro for sure. Play one of Johnson/Hall or transfer Barco to Nedeljkovic. Barco to Nedeljkovic sounds good, actually. If I have to bench one of these 2 players, who would it be? Garnacho, Hudson-Odoi? Bench 2 of these players. Garnacho and João Pedro. Captain Saka, Palmer, Haaland. If I had Palmer, I would captain Palmer. Like, I'm kind of deciding to pick a side. I don't want to be giving you guys ambiguous answers. I'm gonna pick a side and say that if I had Palmer, I think I would be captaining him. Why not start Valdemarsson over Henderson? It's just the kind of odd one pointer if it does happen. Like, to be honest, I don't think it would be much of a difference. Don't think it would be much of a difference. Savio or Soboslai, I have Salah and Foden. I prefer Savio over Soboslai, if I'm honest. But really both not players that I would look to immediately as 6.5 options. Isak replacement, is it worth swapping with Watkins or is there any better forwards? Like right now, I don't think there's any better forwards to go for. It's Watkins or pretty much nothing else. João Pedro even this week has Arsenal, so I don't think this is the week to go for João Pedro. Captain Palmer or Haaland? Do you feel Haaland has a lower ceiling against West Ham? If I had Palmer, I would captain Palmer. What is your reasoning to captain Haaland over Saka? Saka's playing at home. Just a fixture. Like Brighton is a tougher fixture than West Ham. Ricky, nice to see you. Thoughts on Ramsdale or Kepa? My thoughts about Ramsdale still is that he's probably going to be a keeper that is going to get a lot of save points because Southampton. And I mean, technically, when you're looking at a 4.5 or 4.4 kind of keeper, that's what you're expecting. Not very clear-cut, clean sheet chances, but if it does happen, it tends to be double digits because they will get bonus for the number of saves they rack up as well. For Southampton, I've taken a look at their fixtures. Moving forward, there are some pretty good home fixtures that Ramsdale could keep clean sheets in, so maybe. For Kepa as well, I think that the thing with both of them is I wouldn't move on them this week, and I don't see a need for keeper transfers now as well. And you really haven't seen them play in their teams, so it's hard to make a call on them. Maybe next week, after we've seen how the team settle after the transfer window, we can make a more improved decision. Samyam says, just gave a big like. Thank you very much, Samyam. Let's take a look at how many likes we have at the moment. It's 59 likes. Let's try to hit 100 likes if it's possible. There's 246 of you guys. Thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate every single one of you coming down early, way before the game week 3 deadline. So I really appreciate every single one of you here. The support, by the way, like since all of you guys are here, the support on the channel so far has been truly incredible. We have grown quite a bit over the last game week, so I really appreciate that. If you guys kind of have any feedback for me on any of the content that I make, just feel free to drop a comment. I read every single comment, and I do want to improve the content that I'm making for you guys week in, week out. So just feel free to let me know. But yeah, thank you for all the support that you guys are showing. Will Foden start from game week 4? Game week 4, I guess there's more time for him to recover from his illness. But really, you know, there are other players that could start in his place, and Foden is expensive. Like, I'd probably sell Foden this week. Zinchenko, Bednarek, or Mazraoui to start. I wouldn't start Mazraoui this week. Bednarek, Southampton. Zinchenko, does he start? I don't think Zinchenko starts. Maybe. Well, all of them are really not good options. It's picking the best from all the bad options. Maybe Zinchenko and you hope that he does well, or else Mazraoui and you get behind the couch for the Liverpool and Manchester United game. Have Smith Rowe, Eze, Rogers, Isak, and Munoz. Don't know who to bench. Munoz. You bench Munoz. Why even wildcard now if you want to have Haaland? I don't understand the wildcard then. I mean, some people just don't want to go without Haaland. Like, I get the fear. Like there is this psychological thing about Haaland that I think some people have. I would be perfectly fine to go without Haaland. Like, when I switch back to the draft as well, right? Like, are we able to cover for captaincy? Yes, because Palmer has Crystal Palace here in game week 3, and he's matching Haaland, if not even a better captain than Haaland. And then for Salah from game week 4 onwards, it's Forest at home, Bournemouth at home. That's 2 home games. Prime home games for Salah to do well in. He loves scoring at Anfield. And then it's Wolves away. And Wolves just let in 6 goals against Chelsea last week. So why not go without Haaland, spread the money around? And to be honest, if you have Haaland in the squad, like where else is your money going to, like where are you going to take the money out from? When I look at this squad here, where's the money going to come from? I'm going to remove players that I don't want to take out of the squad. So I agree with you, but I also understand people who kind of still want to keep Haaland. It's just maybe a different kind of structure that you need to go for. Who should I start this week? Muniz or Smith Rowe? I would want to start both. Like, who else can you bench? Palmer or Haaland as the captain? I would go for Palmer if I had him. Lots of questions on captaincy today. Raya and Robertson or Flecken and Trent? Probably right. I'm thinking you're talking about a wild card. If it's between those two options, maybe Raya and Robertson. Is Hudson-Odoi really better than Garnacho given Garnacho stats? Does Garnacho start? That's the question. Like, is he going to start? Or is Ahmad going to start again? Like, we're not gonna know. We're not gonna know. Thank you very much for subscribing. Tara. Is Hudson-Odoi... Sorry, start Porro or Mykolenko? I would start Porro. I mean, Mykolenko has Bournemouth, but I really think they don't keep a clean sheet, if I'm honest. Like, Everton defense has been horrid recently. So I would just start Porro for the attacking threat. Planning to play Valdes instead of Porro. Who do you think is better and expect to get more returns? Leicester, I don't think keep a clean sheet against Villa. So I still think I start Porro ahead of him. Congrats on your triple captain last game week. Thank you very much, Chewy FPL. Fantastic content on Twitter. Really, really useful threads. Do check him out. I just want to flash the kind of clean sheet odds because receiving a couple of questions for defenders. So the one that I always use is Rob T from Twitter. You may have seen this already, but I just want to show you guys the clean sheet odds. So it's, sorry, a bit cut off in the graphics. I'll try to fix that. But you look at what was the question that we were getting? Leicester and, sorry, let me go back. Valdes or Pedro Porro. So the Spurs clean sheet is low. Like, don't get me wrong, it is low, 16%. But Leicester is at 15. Like, you look at it, it's even lower, right? So I really think you just go for the... And in fact, this is how I use the clean sheet odds. Like I receive a couple of questions asking why is clean sheet odds relevant. I use it in two ways. Firstly, for benching decisions, especially these kind that you're asking me right now. Oh, if I do this, there's something appears there. Interesting. Right, where was I? Got distracted. So clean sheet odds, I use it in a way where if I'm deciding between defenders, so say for example Porro and Valdes, for example, I look at the clean sheet odds. If it's not too dissimilar, right, it's very close by, then I go for the one that's more attacking. I go for the defender that's more attacking. And then flip side as well, if the clean sheet odds for the team that I have attackers from, sorry, let me rephrase that. If I have, for example, players from Newcastle and I'm hoping they do well and I'm deciding whether I want to sell them or not, or do I keep and hold them, I look at the odds of their opponents keeping clean sheets. This week it's Spurs, and Spurs is very low on the clean sheet odds as well, 16%. So in that case, I would think, alright, so bookies kind of expect that Isak and Gordon are going to score. I mean, not specifically, but Newcastle are going to score. And then I kind of decide that, all right, maybe I hold on to them, side a bit with the bookies odds and say that Newcastle are going to score. When Newcastle score, it's likely going to be Isak, it's likely going to be Gordon. So in that case, I decide to hold them. So I use it kind of similar on both ways, but you guys can feel free to kind of use it however you guys wish. That's just a bit of how I tend to use the odds. Let me leave it on the screen while I get to some of your questions. Bruno or Jota for game week 3, or maybe a transfer in for one of them. I wouldn't rush to get Bruno, to be honest. Like I'd hold him if I have him, but I don't see why you need to rush out to go and buy him. Jota for game week 3, if you have him, you start. I don't see why you need to rush out to buy as well. Jota, Palmer, Smith Rowe, Winks and Rogers. How good would you say this midfield is for the long term? For the long term, I think not too good, because you want to have long term, really, I'm thinking, right? You want a couple of Arsenal assets in game week 6, for example. And then Palmer is good as well. Like if long term, you're really talking long term. And Palmer you have, sorry. And then Salah, let me rephrase that. So Salah I will want as well. But you cover with Jota. Like longer term, I think Jota, like to be honest, I'm also considering and monitoring Jota's minutes. Like longer term, I'm not so sure how long Jota is going to be in the squad. So I really don't think like Jota is a long-term play. Like for me as well, if I don't have him, I don't rush out to get him. Captain Mbeumo this week have Haaland and Salah in the team. Great question that you ask. Let me switch back and pull up the projected goals for players. Rob T is just amazing. Like drop him a follow. Mbeumo is here, so he is behind Haaland, Isak. Like Isak being second on the player goal projections for game week 3 makes me a bit happy. Like I'll be honest, like I hope he is going to return, especially like with the ownership right now. I think a lot of us Isak owners are going to be happy to see that he is at 0.62 predicted goals. Thank you all units for subscribing, appreciate it. But yeah, so Isak is here. So back to the question, Mbeumo is pretty high. It's pretty high, 0.51, but I don't think he's as big of a captaincy shout as the rest above him. Like there's Saka above him, there's Palmer, there's Salah, there's Haaland as well. Salah is quite high, to be honest. Like Salah is pretty high on the projected goals. Why are you not considering Son as a captain option? Newcastle has a disaster defense. I agree, but it's just the fact that other players have better fixtures. If you had to replace Kevin De Bruyne, who would you choose? I wouldn't replace Kevin De Bruyne this week. I wouldn't replace him, so I wouldn't give you any replacements. Did we get scammed by buying Henderson? Yes. I don't know who is the one. Who told me to get Henderson? Like, horrible pick. Horrible. I'm kidding, by the way. The Palace fixtures just look like pretty decent, and defensively last season they looked good. It's just crumbling this season. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, Trevor Chalobah as a centre-back pairing with Mark Gahey. I am hoping that works out. If not, there's also, I think the name is pronounced Lacroix, if I'm not wrong. He is also a decent defender. Eze out for? No, man, I wouldn't sell Eze this week. Ramadian says, should I do a -4 for Slanky to Wissa or Wood? Thanks. If you have to start that player, like if you don't, then you can keep him on the bench. Yeah, if you don't have to start him, you can keep him on the bench. if you have to start the player, if you have to start Solanke, then -4 for Wood or Wissa would be justified. But the thing is, I prefer Wissa over Wood. But that depends on your rotation again. Like, do you have players to cover Wissa in Game Week 4 and 5? Toby, nice to see you in the chat. Welcome to the stream. 34% seems quite low for Villa. Playing double Villa defense. Double Villa defense. 34% is pretty high though. Like, when in comparison, like the highest clean sheet odds this week is 40, I think 42, 43%. So 34 for Villa, it's alright. Henderson to any other keeper for -4. Nah, we just dug a hole for ourselves and we're just gonna get comfortable in that hole. That's what we're gonna do. Arvin says, did I ever tell you you're my favorite FPL content creator? Thank you very, very much, Arvin. Arvin is a member in the chat. He has been a member for a really long time as well, so thank you for all the support. For those of you guys who are interested to be members, there is lots of perks for you guys, badges and emojis. I don't really push this a lot, but since it's the start of the season, it's a good time to join and kind of get as many perks as you guys want. So badges and emojis for tier 1. You get a Discord server where me and the other members are chatting every day, especially in preseason as well. We were drafting many different drafts, and I was having a look at all of them, and unlimited DMs as well for those interested. There's weekly Zoom calls as well. So if you guys are interested, like, if not, I'm perfectly happy with, just watching. Sorry, you guys watching the videos. I really appreciate that already. Arvin says, chat, become a member. I make funny jokes in the Discord. Arvin is active in the Discord as well. It's a pleasure to have him. Evan Nielsen is just a wait and see for me. Like, still, like 6 million is expensive. When I have when I have João Pedro at 5.5, 6 million is a lot. It makes me think a bit. Start any two, Munoz, Licha, or Winks. I feel like there's no chance of the United clean sheet, to be honest. So then I just start Winks and I start Munoz. Start Porro or Robinson. Robinson. 1 free transfer, 2.5 in the bank. Transfer out Gordon or Garnacho for who? I wouldn't transfer out Gordon ahead of Garnacho. I think Garnacho is a bigger urgent sell than Gordon. So you transfer him out. Other options you can consider are the kind of players that we were looking at for Nkunku replacements already. Given that you have 2.5, you can consider Mbeumo. You can consider Mbeumo, Eze, who else? 7 million, yeah, Eze. Further down, 6.5s, you could also go there. Savinho, depends. 5.5, Smith Rowe, Rogers or Eze to start. I would go Eze. Would you transfer Eze and Nkunku for Onana and Gordon? I think Eze is fine to keep. Like, you just deal with Nkunku. Yeah, you just deal with Nkunku. Apologies. Should I sell Porro? Going into Game Week 3 with 2 transfers. Also have Henderson. I don't think you need to sell Porro. 3 transfers in Game Week 4 will be massive. Trust me. 3 transfers. You guys will come to Game Week 4. You guys would really enjoy having 3 transfers. I imagine lots of people are going to be making combination moves. Players, managers without Haaland are going to move to... Sorry, without Saka... Can't get my words out. Players without Salah. FPL managers without Salah are going to move to Salah, find ways to get him. fixture swings for other teams as well. Like Watkins, if you haven't gotten him in game week 3, maybe he does well and you want to move on to him. Injuries from international break, like there's going to be lots of things we want to do in game week 4. So Poro, to me, honestly, it's the incremental value, right? I feel like, what's the value of replacing Poro with someone else now as compared to having an extra free transfer in game week 4? Like, that is what I think about, which I value the free transfer in game week 4 a lot. What are your game week 4 moves? Great question, Toby. There will be a transfer plans video out on Sunday after the Liverpool and Manchester United game. But I'll just give a bit of a spoiler. Lots of different moves that I'm considering. Like, lots of different moves. Do I remove the double Newcastle immediately in the combination move? Isak to Watkins, Gordon to someone else. For example, Eze. That's a combination move. Do I go for Saka to Salah? Lots of options there. Brighton assets as well. If I already have João Pedro, do I want to go for, I don't know, free up some money to fund Watkins up front? Or for example, like Minte 5.5 is an option. Mitoma 6.5 also an option. So lots of things that I'm considering. And honestly speaking, I have no clue. Like, I'll be honest. Like, even on the video, I will have more information because I'm recording it after the games. So I will have more of an idea. So as of now, can't say what I'm thinking about. There's too much to kind of consider. Whom to start between Bruno and Jota? I think if you have Bruno and Jota, you have to start both. You have to bench someone else. Should I sell Rodrigo and Mykolenko for Smith Rowe and Robinson? Those look like good moves. What is your opinion about home versus away games? Do you back the home fixtures? For sure, I back the home fixtures, but I do not give it too much weight. I really only use it as a kind of one of the lower kind of factors when I'm deciding. Like, let's say I'm starting 2 players. I'm deciding whether to start 2 players. The first thing I look at is the fixtures, and then if it's defenders, I look at the clean sheet odds, and then I look at how attacking they are, and then it comes down to, you know, home and away and stuff. So it's not the first thing that I look at, but it does play a part. In the long term, which one below is better? Martinez, Eze, Havertz, Raya, Smith Rowe, and Watkins. Long term wise, I think Eze and Havertz. Martinez, Eze, and Havertz. I want to say that one. Replace Vitaly Mykolenko or hold him. You could just chance this week against Bournemouth. Why not? And roll the transfer. Yeah, maybe I would do that. I would not touch United with a 10-foot pole. Transferred out Kwanzaa for Pau Torres. Was it a good move? Pau Torres is fine. Kwanzaa is fine as well. What are your thoughts on Mark from Scout's comments that Eze is a poor man's Wayne Rooney? I just rate Eze in general. I rate him as a player. I did not start with him because I felt like Gordon had better fixtures in the first few. Gordon has thankfully come away with something against Bournemouth last week. I'm hoping he continues to pull off more returns. It was always, for me, that spot with Gordon there was always whether I go for Gordon as a double up on Newcastle or I go for Eze. So it was a big call because that would also give me extra 0.5 in the bank. But I decided to forgo that extra 0.5 and just go for Gordon there. So the gamble is so far paying off, but I honestly doubt that Eze continues to blank. Like, I look at the numbers he's putting up. It's incredible. Like, I have no clue how Eze has blanked. So for those of you with Eze, like, please hold on to him. Not because I think he's gonna blank, but I think he's gonna score soon. Like, honest. Roger says, well, just nice. A question from Roger here. He says, if Eze blanks again this week, is it time to transfer him out and for who? Will you have the... What's the word? Will Would you be comfortable? Would you be comfortable to transfer out Eze next week when he has Leicester at home? The honest truth is I don't think people would be transferring Eze out next week when he has Leicester at home. So I think if you do transfer him out, if you are somehow losing patience with him, it's this week. It's this week or nothing, because game week 4, you're not going to transfer him out. Trust me. Bench 1, Trent, Vardiol, Konza, and Robinson. It comes down to either one of Konza and Robinson. I play the more attacking one, so I'll bench Konza. Chewy says, agreed, 3 free transfers next week will be tasty. I wish I was in a position. I wish I'd gone for Rogers from the start and just avoided Nkunku. But I couldn't have known, right? No one. He was the biggest trap, Nkunku. Like everything lined up. I think even bigger of a trap than Barco was. Everything was lining up for Nkunku preseason, like getting 90 minutes. He was on penalties when Cole Palmer wasn't there. He was getting goals from open play. He was looking sharp. He was playing number 10. Everything was going well. And then we get what we get. Like, no one saw that coming. How are you today, mate? I'm good. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Are you going to use your second transfer? No. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to have 2 free transfers in game week 4. There is 225 of you guys. Thank you for coming down early. Appreciate all of you guys. We are also 10 likes away from 100 likes. So that has always been the aim on the streams. So if you haven't liked yet, please do just drop a like. We are 10 likes away from the aim of, or the goal that we set for this stream. VJ has set 150 target. I'm happy with 100. If we can get to 100, I'm happy already. Start Nkunku or Munoz. You will never start Nkunku, I think, this week. After what happened last week, I don't think you start Nkunku. Isak or Havertz? You have to start both. I don't think you bench either of them. Jefferson is loaned out. Who should I get for a 4.5 striker? There's no 4.5 striker that's playing right now. So honestly, anyone is fine. You could go for, I think Southampton has a 4.5. You could go for him. Do you think Welbeck will score against Arsenal? Possibly. I don't have Arsenal defenders, so it would be good for my team if he does. But honestly, I think Arsenal at home are a bit of a fortress, so let's see. Erwin says, defense for this week is Porro, Johnson, Gusto. Bench option, Holgate and Face. Save me. Who do I start? Well, Face, definitely not. I think Gusto is fine. Porro is fine. So it's between Johnson, Holgate, and Face. Probably Johnson, to be honest. Attacking threat, a little bit of it, and against Fulham. I guess is the best fixture out of the rest. Hoping Gordon does something against Tottenham. Well, Vignesh, you and me the same, bro. You and me the same. I can tell you why Eze is blanking. Only good because of Olise. Olise is not around. Eze literally blanks. I don't think that's true, though. I don't think that's true. Like, I've seen this comment around. I don't think it's true. Like, the impact of one player leaving is quite massively overblown. I've seen the stats for Eze without Olise. It is not too different. It's definitely slightly worse off, but it's not too different. Tom says Robertson and Jota or Trent and Mitoma. On a wild card, like what's the context there? Should I start Rico Lewis? Yes, you do. You start Rico Lewis this week against West Ham. How important is it to have Watkins for upcoming game weeks? If I have Haaland and Muniz currently. I think for Watkins, he is someone that you wait and see. He's not a rush to transfer in this week, so it's perfectly fine to just wait and see with Watkins. Thank you very much, Richard, for subscribing. We are very, very close. Let me just have a look. We are 5 subscribers away from 8,300. So if there's 200 of you guys watching, if just 5 of you guys can subscribe, that would be incredible. The aim for today would have been hit. 8.3 subscribers, 100 likes, and we're done. You can call it a day. I'm kidding. We had 104 likes, by the way. Thank you all so much for 104 likes. Every stream that hits 100 likes is something that means a lot to me. So thank you very much. Pedro Porro, João Pedro, and Munoz and Murphy play 2. You bench Murphy. You bench Munoz as well. So you start Pedro Porro, you start João Pedro. You start the 2 Pedros. Really like Savio as a punt, then go for him. Like I'm not gonna put you off Savio. Like, I had him in my players to buy and sell video as well. I like him. It's just you need to kind of think of contingencies as well. Like if he becomes someone that is risky for minutes, you have to do something about it. Like you have to be able to maneuver. Short term, he is a good punt. Wildcard here, going Palmer, game week 3 to game week 4, Son to game week 8 to game week 11, Saka game week 12 onwards. Love these premium swaps. So if that's the case, then I'm assuming you have Haaland, because if you're only going for one of those kind of premiums, you have a lot of money left. Is 20 minutes in Nkunku better than 90 minutes Winks? Choose one. Nkunku is just a non-option for me. Winks is also not great to play, so maybe you have to just bite the bullet and make a transfer. Richard says, got a gut feeling Isak will be the best captain option. I am honestly hoping. I've seen the past few scores. Like, let me just have a look at the Newcastle versus Spurs past scores. Let me just have a look. Newcastle versus Spurs. It was always generally high scoring, like when I looked at it. Can't pull it up now. I have no idea why. The internet is not working well for me. Alright, we'll leave it there. But I've seen it. It's generally high scoring. So I'm hoping that Isak will score. Made an early knee-jerk transfer from Nkunku to Madueke to get ahead of price changes, regretting because he might be a minute's risk. Yeah, I mean, he could be, but Madueke is a great punt for this week, so we'll see what minutes he gets. For what it's worth, I think he starts this week. Yeah, wild card. We'll also go in Buemo game week 3, then swap to Mitoma game weeks 4 and 5, swap back to game week 6. I don't mind all these. I don't mind all these kind of yo-yo kind of moves, or like, what do they call that? I don't know if it's called hocus pocus, but basically swapping in and out of midfielders as and when they have good fixtures. I don't mind it. It's just if you have too many of these stacking up, I don't think you have enough transfers to potentially deal with other areas of your squad. Right, so you have to keep that one in mind. That's the issue I have with too many of these kind of, I plan to use this premium then, and then this premium now, and things like that. Don't get me wrong, I think it's a good to have those kind of plans, but too many just would be tricky to navigate. Should I use my 2 free transfers to get rid of Nkunku and Garnacho and transfer, and who to transfer in? Nkunku, yeah, I think you should. Who to transfer in? Rogers, Smith Rowe, Buemo. Long-term Rogers or Smith Rowe? Long-term Rogers. Hokey cokey, yes, that's right. That's right. It's hokey cokey, not hocus pocus. Hocus pocus is magic, yeah. Hokey cokey. That's right. Good one there. Going for Poro to Trent, have Gabriel Robinson in the back three. Poro to Trent, have Gabriel and Robinson in the back three. I guess that could work. Just take note of Gabriel's fixtures in game week 4 and 5. Those are not good fixtures for him. I have Diaz, but with the arrival of Chiesa, does it mean Diaz is not a good pick for future fixtures? I think the expectation for now, the expectation is that Chiesa would operate on the left wing, kind of fighting for a spot with Luis Diaz. That is the expectation, but we'll see, what happens there. There's also talk about him potentially being a replacement right wing for Salah if need be. So yeah, I mean, lots of different things can happen, but Chiesa, we have to kind of wait and see the impact. Would you have Savio and Lewis or Robinson and Smith Rowe on a free hit? Free hit wise, Savio and Lewis, I want to say that one. Like, if you're on a free hit, there's more kind of room to play around. Bench 1, Pau Torres, Gabriel or Poro? Poro. Midfield is Palmer, Smith, Rowe, Wings, Rogers. Do I get De Bruyne or Saka? Forwards are Haaland. De Bruyne ahead of Saka. By the way, we have just hit 8,300 subscribers. So thank you all very, very much for helping me to hit that milestone. I appreciate it, and the growth on the channel has been truly insane. So I want to thank every single one of you watching today. Appreciate it a lot. Isak only had a one shot in the EFL Cup. Not a good sign. I'm not too worried though, because they're still playing at, that was an away game. They're still playing at St. James's Park. I feel like the narrative still stays that at home they are such a different team away from home. It's all well planned, more than enough transfers. Fair enough. Nkunku to Eze, yeah, that works. Best midfielder to own 7.5 million and under. Eze, Buemo if you can rotate. 6.5s. There is Savio if you want to go there, but I think he's risky. 5.5s would be Smith Rowe and Rogers at 5 mil. Why choose Rogers over Onana? The positions that he's taking up. Rogers is a 10. Onana is an 8. Did someone say Marino is injured already? Yeah, unfortunately for Arsenal fans, Marino is already injured. I have no idea how that happens. Like Arsenal are very unlucky with these kind of new signings. Like even Timber last season just came in, played a game, got injured. Like, the good thing is now this one is a bit of a fracture, so I don't see him missing out for too long. Yeah. Like a shoulder, I think something with the shoulder. So I don't think he'll miss out for too long. Would you captain Saka, Palmer, or Watkins? I would captain Palmer. Should I transfer out Foden for Rogers? Yeah, I think it's fine because Foden is sick, according to Pep. But I think with Foden to Rogers, with so much money, I think you can afford a slightly more explosive kind of replacement. You could try maybe the 6.5s or even the 7 millions. Bench 1, Trent, Jota and Rogers. Rogers. If I enter the league now, will it keep my points from game week 1 and game week 2? Yes, it will. Like the league code is right up there. Sorry, right up there. DAEM1P. Yeah, Gabriel fell on him on training, etc. That's just massively unlucky. Massively unlucky, that one. Alright. We have been streaming for 1.5 hours, so we may end the stream soon. We'll see what happens there. Thank you very much for becoming a member, Rune Jugan. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it correctly. Welcome to the tier 1. Hope you enjoy all the benefits of the memberships. Right, so if I haven't gotten to any more of your questions, we're going to end the stream in a little bit. Hopefully I've managed to get to all of your questions. Please just do drop it in the chat. If I've missed it out, I do apologize. Do you rate Abdul Fatawu? I do. I've seen a couple of clips on him. I'm not gonna say I've watched the championship much, but I've seen clips of him. He does look good. It's just the fixtures. It is just the fixtures. Is Isak clearly better than João Pedro this week? I would say yes. Rune says, thoughts on Iwobi as a punt, like both him and Fatawu. Right, so for the thing with kind of these, I guess less owned or more differential punts, I would cite the fixture. So in which case, I think Iwobi is the one that I would go for. Yeah, I guess if I was choosing one this week, I would go for Iwobi. But I just like that, if you are really going very differential, just try to only have one. Like, that's what I would say. Like, I wouldn't want to have many of these kind of two differential players there. Very, very nice to see all the members welcoming. Toby joined this. Says Rune, welcome Rune, join the Discord. Erwin as well, welcome new member. So the Discord is for tier 2 members. So for those who are interested in joining the Discord, you can join the tier 2 members or anything above it, and they will be entered into the Discord server automatically. Who do I bench between Szoboszlai, Rogers, and Gordon? Maybe Szoboszlai. Wouldn't it make sense to go Foden to Rogers? The next game week, I downgrade a defender and bring in Haaland for Watkins. That could work. I guess that could work. You see, I didn't know what your kind of future plans were, but honestly, now that I look at it, I don't mind it. It's just come Watkins. Like, would you want to be selling him when the fixtures are good for him? So, things to consider there. Thank you very much, Roger, for being a tier 2 member. Welcome to the Discord as well. If you are interested, there will be a link as well in the community post that I've put just for members, so you can kind of get the instructions there on how to join the Discord server. I look forward to chatting with you in there. Appreciate all the memberships. Thank you all for joining. Appreciate it. Good luck today. Good luck to all of you guys. We are about 1.5 hours, 1 hour 10 minutes. Sorry, 1 hour and 40 minutes already. So we'll see how long more we can go for. I've brought in Wissa with my wildcard. Is it a bad pick? I don't mind him. Especially with Tony leaving, I don't mind him. I have Palmer, Haaland, Saka, Son, and Mitoma on my wildcard. What do you think about it? Mitoma this week has Arsenal. So I do get, you will want to jump early on him if you have game week 4 and game week 5 in mind. But now with Arsenal, I don't think it's a very good kind of way to spend your money in the midfield unless you have a bit of rotation there. That's the only thing I would say. The rest of the picks are pretty much fine. Son, maybe I wouldn't go for him. You could go for Son because the appeal with Son here is that Solanke is out, Richarlison is also out, so he'll be playing through the middle against Newcastle, so you could be getting quite a bit of returns there. But the thing is, how long will that go on for? And the Spurs fixtures are also not good. So that's what I would consider about Son and Mitoma. Aside from that, the rest are fine. Yeah, Toby says, welcome Roger. Welcome to the Discord as well. So I'll be hopping over to the Discord once we end the stream to chat with all the members. Hope to speak to some of you guys there. Whom to bench out of Wood, Eze, Gordon, and Rogers? Great question, Crown. The poll has answered, and it seems like people are benching Wood. But Wood has the home fixture though, so this one is, I guess, it's not straightforward. But maybe Wood. Like, I'm leaning towards that now. It is between Wood and, for me, between Wood and Rogers. Like, that's where I will be looking. Okay. We'll go on for another 5 minutes. If I haven't gotten any of your questions answered, just please do drop it in the chat. We've got 5 more minutes to go before I have to kind of make a move. Midfield is Smith Rowe, Semenyo, Savio, Saka, and Salah. Thoughts? Looks good. Looks good to me. Especially for this week. Maybe longer term you may have to move some players around, but it looks good to me. Sell Hall or keep him to have 2 transfers next week. The thing with Hall is I'm not even sure he starts this week, to be honest. If I had Hall, would I start him and save the transfer? It's a good question. Right, the value for a transfer next week, I stress again, I really prioritize that. So maybe you could take a chance on Lewis Hall. The only thing I would say is that he already started midweek and he did not look good. So I'm not thinking that he's going to get a lot of minutes in or even start in game week 3. But again, as I've said, what's the value of the transfer? And if you have a 4.0 million, maybe like a Johnson on the bench, why not? Would you definitely start Gordon against Spurs? I would rather start Gordon against Spurs than João Pedro against Arsenal. Like, it's pretty much, that was the decision I'm thinking about. I had Nedeljkovic since game week 1, but not sure he will start today. This is the week that he's likely going to start, Nedeljkovic, so you would be happy to hear. Would you consider Savio over Gordon long term? The worry is who else is going to play at the right. Like, I think Foden is going to come in soon. Less long term. So I think Gordon is still a better long term asset for minutes. Savio maybe more explosive, especially for playing for the better attacking team. But Savio really, I think, is a short term kind of a pick. Can we use the wildcard for this week? You can if you want to. You can scroll back a little bit to see if you would like to use the wildcard draft that I put together. Hey mate, start 1, Johnson, Munoz, or Burn? Start 1. Probably Munoz, the most attacking out of all of them. But what about Gordon against Spurs versus Wood against Wolves? That's an interesting one. If I ignore price, because I think that's how we should look at the decisions. If I ignore price for Gordon and price for Wood, and I look at Gordon versus Spurs, Wood versus Wolves, I think Wolves is the better fixture. It's just that I think Gordon gets 90 minutes, and I think Wood gets 60 minutes-ish, in which case I would favor the Gordon kind of better minutes as well as playing for the better attacking team, I guess. I would start Gordon ahead of Wood. Bench 1, Smith Rowe, Wood, and Madueke, probably Wood. Sanchez or Martinez? On a wild card, I would have Martinez. I wouldn't go Sanchez. I have Lewis, Trent, and Robinson in my defense. Not sure who I will swap for Nedeljkovic. You don't really have to do that. You don't have to do that. Nedeljkovic is not someone you need to go out and buy. You have Lewis, Trent, and Robinson. I think is perfectly fine. So many people benching Eze over Rogers. I wouldn't do that. I would start Eze. Thanks. I was thinking the same, and maybe Johnson instead, but I doubt the clean sheet. Yeah, exactly. Vigner says, really love your content. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much for that. So, guys, I think we're gonna leave it as that. Thank you all again so much for tuning into my streams, for watching all the videos, for liking, for subscribing, for commenting. I appreciate every single one of you every week. Like, I do not take your support for granted. So thank you very much. I hope you guys have a great game week 3. I hope green arrows for all of you guys, that your players would return. But if not, we will be heading off to the game week 3 games now, and we'll see how the games develop, and then we'll have the international break as well. There will still be content coming out during the international break, just not as much as a usual game week, but there will still be like wildcards, transfer plans, etc. will still be there, and then we kick on again after the international break. So if I don't see you guys until then, have a good break, have a good game week 3 as well, and thank you once again for all the support. All right, I will catch you guys again for game week 4 content coming very, very soon. Bye bye.